And so we're assuming that you just launched this product,
right,
right?
right,
Like
right. So,
just
so
got on there.
I just launched my product. It just got to Amazon. So at this point, let's reverse a week. So your products are either, you got the tracking number and it's either in the air, or it's on the boat, it's on its way, or it's got to the freight forwarder and it's on its way to Amazon. Somehow it's on its way to Amazon, and you kind of have a time frame. Generally, at least like a week in advance. I work kind of backwards, or a little bit differently than some. Like when I source a product, like I immediately build the listing. It's not live though. But I immediately build the listing, and then I immediately build my pay-per-click campaign. And then I even start looking at like getting my launches together like weeks in advance. And there's a lot of good reasons for this. One of the best reasons is when your product hits Amazon, it's kind of like, it's there. And you've got like so many other things, especially if you're new, that you're going to be dealing with because you're new. It's good to have all that stuff set up and ready to go. So when your product actually hits Amazon, it's ready. So that being said, like about a week prior or more to that launch, or to the, when the products get to Amazon, I've already created my auto campaign. For me, I generally do $100 a day. I know that's high. Most people do like 20 or 10 or maybe even less than that. We usually start at $100. And then we do a very aggressive bid. I know Amy and I have talked about this before. But it's like, say the suggested bid range is like 75 cents to $1.25, and the suggested bid is, 90 cents. You want to go at least a couple of pennies over the top end of the suggested bid. So if it's $1.25, you want to be at $1.27, something like that. Now, before you freak out and go, yeah, but I'm going to burn a ton of money, on PPC, what you need to realize is Amazon is just like any other business. There's going to be a lot of money that you put out up front. It's going to be scary. And like I said, the way to reduce that risk is to make sure you've done a ton of your due diligence before all this happens, with research and competitor research and, all the stuff that you need to do before this to really be confident in the fact that your product's going to be a great, absolutely essential is to have a great, listing that's optimized. Bar none, absolutely essential. If you feel really confident on all those things, then don't be afraid to spend, upfront. Like I've told you guys and Amy before, like I've, been in the red for months sometimes before the product actually starts making money. But then like 6 months down the road, I'm selling like 50 a day, so it really, really depends how long it's going to take, because of competition and things like that. So have your auto campaign set up, have it, aggressively bid. If it's a parent-child item, some people like to separate out the ASINs. I actually like to keep them together. The reason being is, to me, that's going to give me an early indication of what's going to convert the best. So, if say I have red, black, and blue, and black is converting a lot higher than red or blue, I generally will turn off red and blue and go only for black. And a lot of people are like, well, wait a minute, like, how are those other products going to sell? And I say, aha, the reason you want to do that is you really want to focus your marketing on the thing that's going to convert the best. As the rank climbs on that child item, guess what? When people come to that listing and see the black one and they go, oh, but I'd really rather have blue, they're going to click on the blue one and buy the blue one. So that one, just by one of your child items getting popular and selling, it's going to automatically pull up the other child items. So that's how we do it, is we really try to focus on the child items that are converting the best. So you've got your auto campaign set up. You're going to now let that run for a minimum of a week. We usually do 2 weeks. But after the first week is when you start running the search term reports. And when you get those search term reports, you're going to start getting, the data about the keywords that are converting. Now you take those keywords and you create a campaign. A lot of people call it a performance campaign or a performing campaign, where you split out the keywords. And a lot of people, this is where a lot of people don't do, and where they're kind of missing out a lot. The reason you want to split out your performing keywords, number one, is the auto campaign's now told you that you should be manually targeting those keywords because they're performing. The other reason that you want to separate them out is because you want to go much more aggressive on your budget. This is the other huge mistake I see people making. They've got like a budget of like $20 a day, and every day that budget is running out. But they've got a really good ACOS. Like there was this one guy, this one client where I got into his account and I started like looking around, and literally my jaw dropped. He had like a 5% ACOS, and like a $20 budget, and it was like every day it was going over, it was hitting the budget limit. And I was just like, oh my God, continue to raise that until it won't spend all the budget. Like do $1,000, do $2,000. If it's making you money, there should be no limit on that campaign. That campaign should be unleashed. And I know people get scared with all this money, but you can't look at it that way. You got to look at it on the return on investment. If you're making money on every PPC click, you have to look at that as a net positive, not a negative. Like the money comes out of your account, but then it gets replaced with a higher amount. Like that's how you have to look at it.
And remember, if your ACOS is only 5%, it's still only 5% of that, however many sales you make. So if you up your budget to $2,000 and you're still at a 5% ACOS, now you have a ton more sales.
Yep.
And you've only spent 5% of your profit margin on advertising.
Yeah, not only that, but then you're also gonna start ranking organically a lot better as well, because your rank all around is gonna increase. So just remember that. So during this time, it depends on how you want to do it. Some people just do an auto campaign from the beginning. Like I said, I do a manual as well. And what I do is I'll start a manual campaign and I'll go fairly long tail. I'll go like 1,000 keywords, if not more. And kind of, like I said, like everything I can think of where it would relate to the product. Now, because of Amazon's relevancy, the algorithm change, this works a lot. It used to work phenomenally. It doesn't work nearly as well. Like a lot of those keywords, Amazon will just ignore. You won't even get an impression.
Yeah, I've noticed that too. You don't get any data on them. Yeah. It's very frustrating.
Yeah. But I still like to do this because there'll be like a gem or two that I'll find that I'll not have thought of, that'll come through. So I'll still do that. And not only that, but I'll also be able to see what kind of targeting is working well for that keyword, whether it's broad, phrase, or exact. So that's something else I do is I create a manual campaign from the beginning as well. And then, I start seeing data coming in from that. Same thing with that manual campaign. If you get stuff that's converting really well, then you move those keywords into a performing campaign. And that way you don't have to worry about budgetary constraints. And then it's also much easier to manage because you know that those keywords are performing. So when you go to optimize, if you're doing it manually, it's going to be much easier to manage those keywords. Now, after, like I said, about a week or two, that's when you go in and start pulling the keyword reports. You should be pulling it at least once a week and then taking those keywords and adding them to your performing campaign. You should also be going in after 2 weeks. It depends on what your cost per click is, but generally, if your cost per click is below $1, you want to look at, at least maybe a spend of like $5 and maybe like 10 clicks. If you've got no conversions from that, then that's when you start reducing your bids, because those keywords aren't performing. So you want to start backing those bids off. And as you back those bids off, then, that's when you'll start seeing performance. Once you get to that level, you don't want to keep spending on keywords that are not making you money. In other words, otherwise you're bleeding. You're bleeding those keywords. So something definitely to think about.
Yeah. So in the beginning, you're spending more because you're getting that valuable data.
Yep.
And what a lot of people don't do when they don't understand PPC is they don't take the time to take that valuable data then and put it into an amazing targeted campaign that is just more of that sniper approach, right? But something that they can continue to optimize over time. What a lot of people do is they just leave that launch campaign and they never do anything with it. And so, often when I look at those campaigns, I just see like spend 0 conversions. And you should also be using that data. If you've done a ton of spend and nothing is converting, that should be telling you something. If those keywords that you're bidding on are super relevant for your product, if you're bidding on black water bottle for the bike, right? And it's not converting, and that is the most relevant keyword that you can find, there's a problem. If people are clicking on it, but they're not buying, that's a problem. That tells you there's something wrong with your listing. There's a competitor that has come in. So what I try to encourage people to do on a regular basis is pull up your listing on Amazon. Amazon gives you amazing data. Pull up your listing and start scrolling down and looking. And Amazon will tell you, people who viewed your item also viewed. They will also compare your product to other products. So it'll break down your product and it'll say similar items. And you can look, and oftentimes when I do this with clients, I'll see that they have other competitors that Amazon is bringing up and pointing out. And all three of those competitors have a better hero image, a lower price. And it's like, well, there's where all your sales are going right there. Yep. You're paying for somebody to click your ad and come to your listing, and they're not converting because of what they're seeing on your detail page. They're scrolling down and seeing competitors that are selling at a better price, they're looking higher quality. And then you keep scrolling, and Amazon will actually tell you customers who viewed this item also viewed, and Amazon will also tell you customers who viewed this item ultimately bought this. So then you can learn, oh my gosh, okay, all these people that were on my listing ultimately bought these products. Well, that should tell you something. That should help you improve your pricing, your strategy, your images, your listing, and your campaigns, right? Because think about, today I was looking at one, and it was like cups, right? And people often bought napkins and specific plates. Well, you could be targeting those products in a product targeting campaign. So use the data that Amazon gives you about the customers shopping your page to nail your PPC campaigns and land even more customers.